welcome to Minion. I am your host, Blake, and I'm joined by Clinton for our FPL Game Week 24 preview show. How are you, Clinton?
Oh, well, Blake, it's been forever since the last game week, and looking forward to this game week of midweek fixtures.
Yeah, how did you keep yourself busy over the weekends, Clinton, with not much soccer to watch?
Oh, I live my normal life. The soccer,
FPL's that's it.
The soccer's just a bonus, really. But no, I carried on just living my life actually, Blake. So it was all good, and
I didn't. I couldn't sleep at night on the weekends. And
all right, well, let's just talk about that for a second. I mean, the game week pretty much finished. But then you have to wait around forever for Watford and Burnley. I mean, could there be a more boring game? As predicted, no score. Despite I still had a couple of players playing, I just had no interest really. I had my captain still playing, and whatever. Can't wait. Now that's over. Looking forward to this week.
Yes, there was a bit of. It's ridiculous they didn't schedule more matches on, but obviously there was other competitions happening, the African competition and stuff like that. The game week started on January 22nd. We'll quickly run through just a recap of the games, Clinton. It's been that long, so I watched the highlights of every single game, but it was that long ago. I've nearly forgotten what happened. So we'll quickly recap. First game, Watford and Burnley got announced that they had a double game week each. And so everyone thought, jump on Watford. They had the better fixtures. They had Norwich and Burnley. Watford, they got defeated by Norwich 3-0 in the first game, Clinton. From my team, so I brought in Pedro for Watford, who scored me 2 points in that first game, and I had Williams on the bench for Norwich, who scored 7. Did you have any Norwich players?
No, I avoided Norwich. I had no interest there, but we'll get to my team later, but I ended up wildcarding, which is a big moment because it was quite random. I think I messaged you just before I did it and you were in shock, but I ended up with triple. Yes. I ended up with triple Watford. So I had Foster, Dennis, and King. So the way my team was shaping up, I was mixing a few things up. But then once the Watford fixture got announced, I thought I'd attack it. And sure enough, it didn't go very well. And in that first game, a lot of people did captain Dennis. So they were quite miserable waiting for this second game, and nothing happened anyway. But so I ended up with those 3 Watford players.
That's an interesting statement. You saw Watford had a double, so you thought you'd attack the game week. Watford.
Well, Blake, you've made some very sketchy decisions, and this is just another one of mine that you could chuck on the pile. And Foster is bench fodder, and I was quite content to attack it, knowing that I could easily trade one of them out soon anyway, and there's not a lot of good, cheap forward options. So having Dennis and King as part of a wild card, in my opinion, was quite smart, but it didn't go very well.
Yeah, okay. The next game, Everton, Aston Villa. Aston Villa scored 1 goal. I had Cash score 5 points, Luca Dean 12, and Watkins 2. So I have the triple Aston Villa there, Clinton.
Yeah, Luca Dean's a nice inclusion. I brought him in. I did bench him. And Watkins I brought in also, and Ramsey is my bench option in my midfield, and he missed out, unfortunately. But I think he's a good bench option in the midfield. Yeah, unfortunately, the points didn't get my way. I wish I'd picked Luca Dean instead of Watkins.
Just on that, do you reckon Ramsey will still continue getting minutes now that they've had a few inclusions?
I do. I think Coutinho will still not start every game potentially, but personally, I think Ramsey's still got a spot in that starting team, and at his price, I think he's the perfect fifth midfielder.
Yeah. Next game, Brentford 1, Wolves 2. I didn't have any players from this game, but the third highest scorer for the round that wasn't on a double So the high scorer that wasn't on a double, sorry, Moutinho scored 13 points. Did you have any players there, Clinton?
I've got Sarr as my starting goalkeeper, but I benched him for Foster. So yeah, I'm happy with him as an option going forward. But wasn't needed for this weekend.
Yeah, Leeds didn't score versus Newcastle's 1. I again didn't have any players.
Yeah, we're very different here. I brought in Rafinha, gun player. He's since gone over to South America and played and dominated again for Brazil, but I think he might have picked up a slight injury, but I'm hoping he's okay for this week. But yeah, I'm happy with his fixtures coming up.
How many points did he score, sorry?
He scored 2.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was looking at Leeds. I've got some good fixtures coming up. Man United, West Ham. So Man United scored 1 goal. I had Bruno 3 points, and we won't say this guy's name too often anymore, but Greenwood scored 3 points as well.
Yes, a bit going on there. Bowen was on field for me for a nice 2 points. But yeah, no Man United players currently, and that's something I might have to address going into not this game week, but the following week.
Yeah, we've got the double coming up, which has already been announced. Southampton had a 1-1 draw versus Man City, which was a bit of a surprise there. I had 2 players. I had brought in KDB, who was my captain. He scored 8, making it 16. Cancelo only picked up the 2 after the draw, and I had Broha on my bench score me 2 points.
Just like most of the season, I've got triple Man City, and it didn't go well this week. Cancelo, Foden and Diaz all scored with 2 points. I'm quite happy with the Cancelo and Foden picks. Diaz, I paid a fair bit for, and I'm not convinced. I probably on the wild card, as I mentioned, I probably should have got Laporte instead, or potentially a cheaper option. So he's someone who potentially might make way soon, especially for the fixtures coming up, because Man City don't have any doubles in the near future.
They still do have good fixtures. They just don't have doubles.
Yes,
yeah, which players around that price range, they might score some more points on the doubles. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 3. I had Trent Alexander-Arnold score me 2 points, and Gallagher on the bench scored 1 for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, once again, I wisely selected 3 Liverpool players for my wild card. Trent 2. Robertson's been a good pick. I brought in a couple of weeks ago, scored 11. And I've got Mo Salah on the bench, so I paid up for him to sit on my bench on my wild card. And yeah, I think the people who have resisted or any hits or wild cards to this point have played it smart, because it's unlikely he'll start this week. So I've got some thinking to do, because I'm potentially trading him, transferring him out for this week.
That, to be honest, that was the surprising thing, that you spent that much to put him on your bench. But I suppose you were expecting him to play against Leicester this game. But now I saw a stat, I think it was this morning, that he's pretty much played the duration of 5 matches within the last 12 days. So, yeah, I don't expect him to be playing anytime. Well, I expect him to have a rest at least this game.
I'll just say that on that, like, when I made that decision to have him in my wildcard team, yeah, of several of those games, Egypt could have easily conceded and they would have been knocked out. He would have been fresh for this week's game. But the fact that they kept on scraping in and they made it all the way to the final, he's played all those minutes, it just hasn't fallen my way on this occasion. But yeah, those people who don't have him, I think I've got lucky, because if he was a certain starter for this week, everyone would be scrambling to get him in, but now they don't have to.
Yeah, you took a risk there, and you're pretty unlucky that didn't pay off. Next game, Arsenal, your boys, they had a 0-0 draw versus Burnley in Burnley's first game of the round. I had Ramsdale as my on-field keeper. He scored me 8 points after getting the clean sheet and 2 bonus, and Smith Rowe scored me 3 points.
Yeah, I strangely have no Arsenal players, and Ramsdale's been one of the picks of the year when he first got took over in goal. So, yeah, disappointing I've got no Arsenal players, but there's someone I'm eyeing off for their double in a couple of weeks.
I look forward to hearing about that because I don't know who you're talking about. Leicester 1-1 draw versus Brighton. I didn't have any players.
Likewise, yeah, I avoided those two teams. So, as I said, I've tripled up on a couple of teams, so or 3 teams actually. So there's a few teams I'm completely avoiding.
Yeah, Brighton do have the double in 2 game weeks time, but they've got the blank game week this round, so it's going to be tough to select them. Chelsea defeated Tottenham 2-0. I only had Hugo Lloris on my bench, score 2 points.
Yeah, Tottenham are coming good. But yeah, Chelsea with their fixtures coming up, with them going away, yeah, I don't have either any players from those 2 teams. But yeah, potentially Tottenham, I'm eyeing off someone there as well. But yeah, I can't squeeze them all in, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, I did have 3 Chelsea players, and I'll discuss my transfers in a second, but they were all not picked for the last game week. And to finally finish off the round, Clinton, Burnley had a 0-0 draw versus Watford. Pedro scored.
Let's dissect that game. Let's really talk about that game.
It's all anyone could think about for 2 weeks. I was all excited last week because I thought we were going to record Monday last week, but you informed me I had to wait an extra week. So I had to wait that extra week for Pedro to score me another 2 points.
Well, yeah, you scored well this weekend. This is another reason why, because there's a lot of people who had Dennis or King captain. So, I mean, if you could script the way the scoring panned out, if you didn't own King or Dennis, you amazingly got away with it, because despite you laughing at me doubling up on both of them, Dennis has scored a lot of goals this year, and playing versus Norwich and Burnley. Yeah, I mean, for those who avoided the pair of those, did very, very well, because, potentially if Josh King got a hat-trick this morning, I'm sure this game would have been well talked about, but of course he didn't. And the only talking point for me was that Foster did actually start this game and score me 6. So that was one little bonus.
Yeah, we'll talk about transfers now. I would have selected King, but I couldn't afford him so I went Pedro instead. The way Burnley were travelling, I didn't trust that the second game would go ahead. Like, the amount of COVID interruptions and stuff they've had, I didn't even trust the second game would go ahead. So I was never going to captain a Watford player. So in the end, my transfers, I transferred out Alonso, Mason Mount, Reece James. At the time, I didn't like the way Chelsea were going. Reece James obviously injured, and I transferred out Edouard, who scored 8 points, to bring in Luca Dean, Kevin De Bruyne, Williams, who scored 7 on my bench, and Pedro. So I took a -12 hit, but it was a pretty good turnaround in the end after I captained KDB and Luca Dean scored 12. So overall, I scored 60 points, Clinton, which was well above the average, which I'm quite happy about. And my overall ranking is 339,000.
Well done. Yeah, so I ended up on 36, and which is one above the average score. As mentioned, I wasn't going to wildcard, but then I just decided I'd set my team up for the next few weeks. Obviously, I knew there was double game weeks coming up, but I just had a feeling that with Liverpool, the way Man City have been playing, I thought instead of stuffing around, I'd get my team just set up for the next few weeks, and sure, I'll make little tweaks here and there, but I'm happy looking at the majority of my team. It's just, there's a couple of spots that might need tweaking. So it is what it is. Everyone had a pretty dismal week, besides you. So we move on, and looking forward to some more soccer regularly now.
Yeah, it'd be good to start watching some more games. I did top score for our league, Clinton, but the big change in our league, Scott's finally been knocked off the perch by David David scored 34 points to Scott's 24. But David's on top, Scott's in second, Dem is third, Andrew fourth, Tom is fifth, and I still can't break into the top five, even though I top scored Clinton. So I'm currently sixth. Our Patreon member Aaron is in seventh, and you are in 14th in our league, Clinton.
Yes, just slowly ticking away. But yeah, I'm all about the cups. I think I mentioned it last time around, Blake. I'm all about the cups. I'm still in the Australia Cup. I got knocked out of a couple of ones. I got knocked out of the Optus Sport League Cup. And there's a few different leagues I'm in internationally, but I'm all about the Australia Cup now. What about you?
I am in the Spurs Cup. You want to win. You want to win the Spurs Cup, the Australia Cup, and the Optus Sport League Cup.
Yeah, I'm out of that.
Steve. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that win, actually. That's good. So that was our league, Clinton. I ran a bit of a Twitter poll just to gauge how our community's been making their transfers so far, and just to see who they've been bringing in. And our community responded that 56% of people who voted have bought in Mo Salah, which would be... It's quite interesting.
Can you repeat the question, please? And what did you put?
The question was, who's the first player you're transferring in for this game week?
And what were the options?
Salah, KDB, Luca Dean, or Bowen, or comment anyone else.
Yeah.
56% of people voted Mo Salah. 22% for Luca Dean and KDB, and no one voted for Bowen.
Do you know why? Because I personally didn't vote. Do you know why? Because I own three already. due to the fact that I've wildcarded, and I couldn't bring in KDB because I already have three Man City, so I couldn't answer your Twitter poll, mate. So that's why I didn't. I did. There might be a lot of people like me, or a lot of people who own Bowen. So
yeah, a few teams might have wildcarded already, and yeah, you're right. They might have already owned those players. But they were the most transferred in players when I ran the poll, so that's why those options were available. Okay, what chips you got left, Clinton? So you've used a wild card.
Oh, yeah, I've used my wild card. I used my bench boost in game week 1.
Yeah.
So I still currently have one free hit left, and also my triple captain, which will be likely being played in what game week? 26.
For Mo Salah.
Correct.
Have you got plans for your extra free hit?
I'll be saving that. I can't remember which game weeks they are exactly, but roughly between 30 to 33, there's likely to be another big double game week. So it depends on how my team's shaping up at that stage, but I may be attacking one of those game weeks with a free hit.
There's game week 30 where there's going to be a lot of blanks.
Yeah, there must be 31 or 33. I think it is that there's going to be another double game week. So,
do you reckon you're better to approach the double game week or attack the blank week where a lot of managers would be struggling anyway?
All depends on the fixtures, mate. Yeah, I haven't gone in too much depth with that right now. Potentially it depends on which teams guaranteed at blank and how many starters I have. If I have less than 7, I may be tempted for one of those more blank game weeks, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So we mentioned earlier, so Brighton are the only team to blank, or potentially Chelsea as well. They've got a blank game week this upcoming round, and then game week 25, the team's on a double at the moment, Man United and Brighton. What players would you recommend from those two teams, Clinton?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I think a lot of people will be getting Ronaldo and having him as captain. Personally, I'm probably more lean towards Bruno and seeing the form that he's in. And yeah, I think the big watch is this this game this week that they're playing, and then make a decision, because there's a fair bit going on at Man United, as has been well documented the last week or so. So I think I'm going to watch this game week really intently, because I'm actually, as mentioned previously, I'm likely to maybe transfer out Salah for Bruno this week. I'll get into it later. But back to your question, Man United, Ronaldo, Bruno, De Gea is a popular option in goal. And Brighton-wise, yeah, if you want a cheaper option, there's a couple of cheap attackers, Morpay being one of them. But Cucurella in the defence is quite handy as well. So depends where you're looking at, where you might need to make a transfer. But I'm looking at maybe one or two Man United players.
Yeah, I already have Bruno. My plans are to wildcard game week 25. So potentially bringing in Ronaldo. And I'm currently working on my structure. I need to have a strategy to bring in Mo Salah. So that'll be a part of my wildcard plans. It's whether I don't think I'll be able to afford the big three midfielders and Ronaldo. So whether I just captain Bruno and stay away from Ronaldo for game week 25. But potentially buying off a few Brighton defenders as well, approaching their double when I plan to wildcard for game week 25. Because I've still got my triple captain. I want to use it the same as you. And at this stage, I will use my extra free hit game week 30 when we approach the blank game weeks. So pretty similar players to you that I'll be attacking for Man United and Brighton.
In saying that, Blake, if you do that, the following week, both those teams don't double. Where there's 8 teams doubling in 28.
Yeah,
and they're not one of them. So if you end up with 5 or 6 from Man United and Brighton, they're not doubling. So that's something to consider strongly.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm considering not having triple of just about any team, just because their fixtures are changing so rapidly. Because Liverpool have a double game week, and then not too far after it, they potentially have a blank. So
they do the next 27 are blank.
Yeah. So my current plan is to not have, well, if it works out, not to have triple any team. Man City probably have one of the best fixtures if they actually had a double, but with the single game weeks, so my plan at the moment, so I only have double of teams and not triple, just because the fixtures change so much with blanks and doubles.
I'm not sure about that strategy, because Liverpool have, despite blanking 27, they've got 2 easy fixtures in 26. So if you're, for your reasons, avoiding Salah, Trent, and then either Robertson or Jota, that third option could really punish you. So that's just something to consider, because I think they're the best teams for a reason. And when they have doubles with poor opponents, when you attack the doubles for sure, you laughed at me when I attacked Watford's double, but when they're a team like Liverpool, even the likes of Tottenham, I think you're putting yourself at risk if you're missing out on some gun players.
Yeah, potentially. We'll discuss that I reckon that'll be our next show, Clinton, game week 25 preview, where I'll most likely be on a wild card. So we'll digest that then. What are you looking to do for this upcoming game week, Clinton?
So, as mentioned, I feel as though I've got a strong looking team. I've got Sarr in goal, Robertson, Trent, Cancelo, Diaz, Luka Dean. So I've got a solid back 5. Foden, Rafinha, Bowen, Salah, Watkins. So I'm really happy with my starting 11. But the way I see it, I don't think Mo Salah will start versus Leicester and maybe not come on at all. And in that case, in the space of the next 2 game weeks, Bruno Fernandes will have 3 fixtures. And if Salah doesn't play the first one, he'll have maybe just the one game for 90 minutes. He does play Burnley, which is a dangerous thing, but Bruno has the double. So I'm likely to trade Bruno in for Salah, and then into game week 25, I'm going to see how that game goes for Man United. If they're playing well, I might look at another option, or potentially I may roll and not make any transfer in game week 25, and then that leads me into game week 26, where I can easily get Mo Salah back for Bruno, and then make another free transfer going into that double game week where there's lots of doubles. So Arsenal have a good pair of fixtures in that game week. The player obviously it's a couple of weeks away, but the player I'm eyeing off is Kieran Tierney for Ruben Diaz is an early transfer I'm looking at potentially, and who knows with injuries, etc. But that's a while away. Otherwise, my team's looking pretty solid. Captaincy-wise, it's a bit tricky. I think Man City at home versus Brentford has a lot of goals written all over it. Foden, Cancelo, both really good options, I believe. But I'm sort of leaning towards it. This is a game week I think you could attack a differential with your captaincy. Liverpool at home to Leicester is a great option. There's been a lot of FA Cup games on the last day or so as well. Robertson actually got rested. Yeah, he came on late, but they played Simicast instead. So Robertson's going to be fresh. I'm eyeing off a big differential, and I think I might be captaining Andy Robertson this week. There you go, Blake. Just for you.
I love it when you do a big reveal like that. You build up the suspense, and
it's happening. It's happening. Andy Robertson's got to be a goal and assist. He'll score about 18 points, and I'm going to be really happy next week. How about that?
I love your differential picks. You're always very excited about them, and
I am.
I appreciate it. It's good. I saw I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the big dog podcasters for FPL. He destroyed Tierney to pick today.
Oh.
I'll find out who it was. It was one of the guys. I'll find it. He's like, he might look good on paper, but his attacking returns over the last 5 game weeks actually haven't been that good, or something. Or something along those lines.
As I said, I'm likely to have a free transfer into that game week. Arsenal do have a pair of good fixtures, and I'm likely to bring in a defender for Diaz. So that's the one spot I'm looking at to make a transfer. And I think of the teams with the doubles, I've already tripled up on Liverpool, obviously. But then, maybe Wolves might be another. I've got Sarr already in goal, but I'm looking at a cheaper option in the defence. And I thought Arsenal's fixtures are pretty good. So we'll wait and see.
Kilman?
It's just whether I want to double on the Wolves defence, but yeah.
That's all right. My team for the upcoming game week. So I have got Loris in goal, Cash, Cancelo, Trent, Luca Dean, Bruno, KDB, Greenwood, Gallagher, Smith Rowe, and Watkins. They've all got very good fixtures on paper. Aston Villa playing against Leeds at home. Man City have got Brentford. Like you mentioned, Liverpool have got Leicester. Tottenham have got Southampton at home. Crystal Palace, Norwich. Arsenal versus Wolves. So they've all got pretty good fixtures. So my transfer will be Greenwood out for Jared Bowen at this stage, providing Bowen's all good to go. The deadline for the game for us is 5:15 on Wednesday morning, Clinton. So we're recording this on Monday night, and so hopefully no fixture changes or anything in the meantime. But
knowing our luck at about 2 a.m. our time, there'll be a team with COVID, or there'll be something big happen, and we'll be asleep. So
holding off on those transfers for as late as possible again. So probably 11 p.m. tomorrow night on Tuesday night is when I'll be making my transfer.
It's very
And
late, Blake.
yeah, well, by the time I finish this recording and get it all good to go, I'll be later than that. So that's all right.
Okay.
I'll be used to it. My captain will be KDB versus Brentford at home, and Bruno will be my vice. Only the one transfer for this game week going into my wildcard.
Very good. I just want to mention quickly that he was laughing about Watford's performance in the previous game week, but in game week 26 they have a double, and I'm currently still got Dennis and King.
You're going to attack that game week, eh?
I've already planned it, so I'm attacking it already. And just imagine if everyone sells Dennis and game week 26 rolls around and Dennis just bangs in goals. I might get the last laugh, Blake, because I've planned this in advance. So there you go.
Yeah, I might bring him in, actually. That sounds all right.
Oh, there you
go. There's so many teams on the double that game week. But yeah, we'll attack Watford.
Don't laugh about it, Blake, because in 3 weeks' time, you'll be able to look back on this and think, wow, did I actually say that?
They've actually got not too bad of fixtures. They've got Aston Villa and Crystal Palace most likely in that game week. So it's actually probably one of the better fixtures of the lot, but it is Watford.
Yeah, fair enough.
They just lost 3-0 to Norwich. And
yeah, that was a red card involved. But I think realistically, they just got a new manager. Roy Hodgson's a real defensive manager. So if they were looking bleak before the previous game week, they're looking even bleaker now. So the chances of those guys returning have diminished even more. So get them in, Blake.
They didn't score a goal from 2 games.
Yes, I'm well aware.
Yeah, that's all we've got to report for this upcoming preview show, Clinton. Have you got anything further to add before we wrap it up?
Not really. I just also look at the screen. There's this light shining down my face. It's really annoying me. The other thing to mention is, yes, there's lots of fixtures coming up, especially for those in Champions League. So the likes of Man City and Liverpool, which I have 6 players, those best teams are playing quite a bit of Champions League as well in the next few weeks. So there's potential of rest. So
don't triple up.
Well, you might be onto something there. And for example, if Man City do perform well the next couple of weeks and their attention may turn to more of the Champions League because they are looking increasingly like the champions already. But see what happens next few game weeks, because potentially, you might Cancelo might be one who might start getting some rest, and their attackers and midfielders, like, they always get rotated no matter what anyway. So, yeah, I'll be very cautious about the best teams. Just a warning there, because don't be surprised if that starts happening. Liverpool don't generally rotate much, but that's a bit different at the moment because Salah and Mane have just played a lot of minutes in Africa. But, yeah, Man City, the team I'm beginning to worry about. So that's why I'm definitely getting rid of Diaz in a couple of weeks, I think, because of rotation.
Could Liverpool have more rotation now that they've got in Diaz? Once Mane and Salah are back?
Once they're fit and maybe freshened up after the African Cup, I think the Jota Firmino double would be more in jeopardy than Salah Mane. I think Salah would be, depends on his minutes really, but I mean, he plays no matter what. But then Mane has potential to get a bit of a rest here and there, but I think mainly, Jota and Firmino might be the ones to rotate around a bit.
Just on that,
that's Clinton, my opinion.
I might throw you a bit off guard here, but did you like the look of any players that have been transferred in or transferred across clubs?
Short answer is not really. Ericsson, although he went to Brentford, might be a really cheap option. I think he's priced at, 5 million or something like that. So
5.5, I think, yeah.
5.5, yeah. So I think you just watch him for the first few weeks, and if he starts looking good, then yeah, he's an option. But nothing that really stood out to me, to be honest. My biggest mistake was at the start of the year when I reacted to the Lukaku and Ronaldo inclusions, and I just pretty much ruined my season by doubling up on those two. So I would suggest avoiding pretty much those type of players and just watching them for a few weeks first. That's my opinion.
Yeah, one player that I was going to keep my eye on was the Burnley striker in Weghorst. They've got some good for Burnley. They've got a few double game weeks coming up after game week 26. So over the next couple of game weeks, I was going to see how he performed because I think he'll be the predominant striker going forward.
So you're laughing at Watford strikers and now you're looking at Burnley.
Didn't say I'm
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to bring in Weghorst, Cornet, and Pope, but I'm just going to keep an eye on him because I think they'll play through him predominantly for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Well, it's what is it? Game week 24 coming up. It's an exciting part of the year, really, because there's lots of fixtures coming up. There's all these random double game weeks. Sometimes there's blank game weeks. So, yeah, you keep on your toes, and this is where I think the best managers make up a lot of ground because they're onto the news. They know they plan in advance, probably more so than what we have already, looking at those game weeks in the early 30s. So, it's an exciting time of year. Looking forward to some more soccer this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching a fair few games. All right, Clem, that'll wrap us up for Minute for this evening. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please leave a like and comment on the show of any feedback you'd like to leave us. It's much appreciated. So, we'll talk with you soon.
Right.